All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome into A Bettor Morning presented by Rival Fantasy. Rival Fantasy is your all-in-one fantasy sports platform. Fantasy executive been winning over there. You should try to be the same. Make it into some rival picks today. May need to save that for you for tomorrow's program as we get ready to rock and roll into week number 5 of the NFL season. Let's go. Let's clap it up. We got a good, maybe not a good, but we got Thursday night football. The game don't got to be great every weekend. I'm be sick and tired of y'all sitting up here complaining about how terrible the game is all the time. Watch the game and enjoy the game. Be happy we got football on television. We also got some baseball on television. Shout out to the Minnesota Twins. Believe that they advanced last night. Shout out to the Minnesota Twins. Shout out to Major League Baseball teams getting their playoff runs together. Everybody in the chat, good morning. How you doing? Say good morning back to the fantasy executive. A little bit later on in the program, I want to look at and discuss some NBA odds. I want to touch on some of the line movement we've seen over the past 24 hours in some of these NFL games. But obviously, we got to start with the matter at hand, and that is the Chicago Bears and the Washington Commanders. Commanders, probably a borderline NFC playoff team. Chicago Bears could be headed back towards the first pick of the NFL draft. Bears no win so far in the season. The Commanders sitting at 2-2 in the NFC East. Washington comes into this game as a 6-point favorite, and the total in this one is sitting at 44.5. Don't be like the fantasy executive every Thursday night trying to find out what channel the game is on. You got to open up that Amazon Prime app, that Amazon Video app, and that's where you find it. So don't be like me looking for it every week like I'm a crazy man. All right, now, Bears and Commanders tonight. Here's the deal, trying to handicap this contest. First of all, I'm never laying 6 points with the Washington Commanders. Just not going to happen. I can see this being a push, like Washington winning the game by 6. I do think Washington will win the football game tonight. A home game. Sam Howell hasn't been great at home this year, but you have to be optimistic about how the quarterback looked last week going against Philadelphia. Washington, the Commanders, they did fight. They battled it out. They always play Philadelphia well. Now they come back to home, but they've been kind of 50-50. And you want the Commanders to have a good performance and a good showing at home because this is a new generation of Commander football, post-Dan Snyder era. So you get the fans back in the buildings. It won't be overtaken by Chicago Bears fans tonight. Should be Commanders fans in the building, left hand up, all that good stuff. On the Bears side, it's tough sledding right now. I think the Bears will play the Commanders close, but obviously in the end, I do think the Commanders will end up winning the game. I think the Bears probably get a turnover late, which has kind of become a staple of Justin Fields, who everybody seems to be rooting for. But bottom line of the matter is this. You can't blame the coaches. You got to blame the player on this one right here. Oh, why does he throw so many screen passes? That's all he can complete. You know what I'm saying? So you want to go to that 6-back attack, that heavy rushing offense for the quarterback, go ahead with that. But then there's still going to be times that the game is going to have to use his arm to make a play. And it seems like that's been problematic for Justin Fields. He's been a starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. And people saying, "Oh, trade him to Atlanta." I think Kyler Murray goes to Atlanta. Kyler Murray, who I'm not a big fan of either, is a better player than what Justin Fields is. So just got to get him healthy and get him out there. I think he's the quarterback in Atlanta next year. And I think Justin Fields begins his career as an NFL backup because the Bears have an early pick again, which more than likely they will. I think they'll move on. They'll go get a Drizzy Drake, May, Caleb Williams, somebody like that. They're coming in, Michael Penix Jr. to be the starting quarterback for this team moving forward. A few prop bets that caught my eyes tonight. Speaking of Justin Fields, I'll go higher on Justin Fields' projection of 193 and a half passing yards. He was actually going over this number a few times this season. And I think in a wide open game tonight against the Commanders, I think he'll hit this number pretty easy. Khalil Herbert, I would take unders on Khalil Herbert. That Washington defensive line is stout. It's the best unit on that bunch. So with Herbert, I would go under or lower 12 and a half rushing attempts. I would also go lower than 48 and a half rushing yards for Khalil Herbert. Now, I need to come back with a Commander prop, but I'll figure that out later on today. You can find it at the Fantasy Exec or Twitter, right? But there you go, right there. I give you a head start. I like Fields higher on his passing yards. I like Herbert under on his attempts and rushing yards. And that contest right there, I think the Commanders get the win, come through with the victory, but nothing real special here as far as something I have to get on and get involved with as far as going against the spread in this game right here. I mentioned I wanted to talk about some line movement, and I was talking to the homie Adam Ronis yesterday, and we were talking about a couple of games and stuff like that, and I told him that I believe Carolina could be live this weekend versus the Carolina Panthers I'm talking about, could be live this weekend versus the Detroit Lions. And I got a good tongue lashing pause. Ronis telling me how the Detroit Lions were legit. And I never said the Detroit Lions weren't legit. I just say I don't want to lay 10 points with the Detroit Lions. I got to hear from Heather in the background. I don't want to lay 10 points with the Detroit Lions. To me, that's, you know what I'm saying? I didn't say Carolina was going to beat them. I said I wasn't laying 10 with Detroit. Yesterday was 9.5. This morning I wake up, check the odds, and move up to 10. So obviously the money is moving in the direction. You always want to trust kind of that mid-early week line movement, because sometimes the line movement early in the week, Monday, Tuesday line movement, Wednesday line movement, early in the week, and then Sunday morning line movement is the critical line movement, because you got the professionals will hit it early in the week, and then the sharps will come in on Sunday morning. Right? So that's where I'm at. So me thinking Carolina, go ahead, take 9.5. Don't do it. Leave it alone. Maybe Detroit is the type of team that you can lay double digits with. Maybe that's who the Lions are. And you know what? If Detroit's a if Detroit's a team that you can lay double digits with, so be it. I can deal with that. If you want to take it that way, you want to take it that route, I'm for it. But when you start to talk about and handicap the Detroit Lions moving forward, right? And just thinking off the top of my head about this team, let's just say the 1 seed San Francisco, 2 seed Dallas. Let's say the 3 seed is the Detroit Lions. That would match them up with a 6 seed. That would probably be a team like the Commanders. Yeah, Detroit to beat the Commanders. Then in round 2 of the playoffs, they'd probably have to go to like Philadelphia, Dallas, a place where they would lose, put it like that, where they wouldn't be as successful. So, yeah, Detroit would be a second round NFC playoff team, but let's not start fitting the Detroit Lions for their rings with that big lion head on it. Still a team that's not ready for an NFC Championship game. But listen, this weekend against the Carolina Panthers, I'm not going to. If Carolina covers, you know what? Don't say I didn't tell you. But I'm going to take Ronis's advice and not stare down the Detroit Lions again. So a line movement and that Tennessee Titans Indianapolis Colts game. Told you yesterday I was on the Titans. Titans 4-0 their last 4 trips to Indianapolis. It's a place where they play very well at and have done well at. Yesterday the Colts were a 1-point favorite. Now today's opens up. Tennessee Titans moved to a 1-point favorite, and that line moved up to 1.5. So you may want to get on the Titans as soon as possible in that game right there. And I know it's tough back in Ryan Tannehill, but the truth of the matter is this: Tennessee Titans the right side on this one right here. So get her done on that aspect. Other line movement we see, this is an interesting one right here. The Philadelphia Eagles were a 4-point favorite. Open up the Sportsbook app this morning to see Philadelphia Eagles now laying 4.5 on the road versus the Rams. I would expect some buyback to come and hit that 4.5. I don't think this is a game where the Philadelphia Eagles roll. I think the Rams fight. I think the Rams are tough. I think the Rams can win the game. 100% honest with you. I think the Rams can win the game. You go out there, Los Angeles, there'll be plenty of Philadelphia Eagle fans out there. Eagle fans travel well. Now, don't get the fighting in the stands, Eagle fan. Eagle fan like to fight in the stands. Y'all go to L.A., y'all get your butt cut. Them L.A. fans is just like you. They like to fight in the stands, too. Speaking of fight, it's been a lot of fighting in the stands this year. Why do y'all go to the football game, get drunk, and fight in the stands? Don't make any sense. Silly. Stop fighting in the stands. And Philadelphia Eagle fan, if you go out to Los Angeles this weekend, don't go out there and get in a fight in the stands in Los Angeles. Because them Los Angeles fans don't play. And then you in their city. Los Angeles fans will take you to the airport, cut you behind over there. As far as handicapping the game go, I'm not here to handicap the fights in the stands. As far as handicapping the game go, though, I just look at the Rams' defensive front as a unit that can give Philadelphia's run game some trouble. I think Philadelphia can open it up on them in the air. But I think the Rams and Matthew Stafford can come back and play the game well. I definitely take the 4.5 with the Rams, and I'm going to sprinkle the money line. You can say, oh, well, you're hating on the Philadelphia Eagles. No, I'm not. I understand I have to genuflect to the Eagles. I got to genuflect to the Lions. I get that. I'm not hating. I'm just placing wagers that win. Bengals still sitting at -3. Broncos moved up to -1.5. I would not touch that. It looks like San Francisco is going to tilt and head to 4. You know how the Dallas Cowboy haters are. They're ready to pile on, especially Dallas going on the road, stepping up in competition, playing really the big dogs in the NFL right now. I still take the Cowboys with the 3.5. I think it's a field goal game. I also sprinkle the money line. But that's just me. That could be the fan and the fantasy executive speaking. Speaking of the fantasy executive, I had the good opportunity to pick up a couple people on waivers last night. Nothing spectacular. You know what I mean? Nobody great. Couple Tajay Spears, stuff like that. But to get ready for this weekend, you need to start a free 7-day trial of Fantasy Alarm's All-Pro subscription. Get all the Week 5 DFS content, and picks for free. Go to fantasyalarm.com/win. That's once again a free 7-day trial of Fantasy Alarm's All-Pro subscription. Get the Week 5 DFS content and the DFS Week 5 picks absolutely free. You start the 7-day free trial. Go to fantasyalarm.com/win. WIN. Win is the way to get involved with that. NBA Media Day is going on all over the place across the country. I saw where we got some practice videos yesterday come out of Milwaukee with the Bucks in their new rotation with Damian Lillard in there, getting some practice done, getting some work done. Dame Lillard, Dame Dollar getting it done with the Milwaukee Bucks. Also saw this morning where Damian Lillard filed for divorce. That's unfortunate, you know what I'm saying? They have 3 beautiful children, so I hope that works out for them. But it happens to everybody. Well, not to everybody, but it happens, you know what I'm saying? Matters of the heart can be like this sometime. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Also saw yesterday where Memphis Grizzlies were at practice. As you know, Ja Morant is serving a 25-game suspension to start the season. Ja is allowed to practice and be with the team. So that's a good one right there. So saw Ja yesterday out there practicing with his teammates. Also saw an interview with Derrick Rose, where Rose was talking about how Ja and T basically called him up and was like, yo, listen, come to Memphis. And Derrick Rose was like, okay, I'll come to Memphis, but I'm not coming there to babysit you. I'm not coming there to tell you what to do. Not coming there to kiss your butt, right? So that's what Derrick Rose was telling Ja Morant. But he said, I am coming here to push you. I am coming here to make you better. Now, with that being said, then that's a good thing. I think Ja can use someone like that. Remember when Ja first got in the league? What's my man? Crowder. Jay Crowder was his guardian, his big brother. Seems like even though he's an NBA superstar now, he still needs that guy on the roster. So Derrick Rose will take over that spot right there. But really, you got to get it done yourself. You're a big boy now, big-time NBA star. But that 25-game suspension will be over before you know it. And I expect Ja to come back and have a great season. I think the Memphis Grizzlies are a contender in the Western Conference this year. But I do want to talk about the betting and odds for the NBA MVP award, the NBA's most prestigious award. The last 3 years has been won twice by Nikola Jokic, once by Joel Embiid. Now, what's so interesting about this year right here is when you come back and you look at the odds, Nikola Jokic has the shortest odds, followed by Luka Doncic. And let's start with Luka Doncic. Like, Luka is supposed to be the guy to, win this award. Luka should have won this award already. He, at times, can take over and dominate and be the best player in the NBA. Now, the thing is, the Dallas Mavericks only have Luka and Kyrie Irving. Everybody else is a role player. They take the stars and scrubs approach. Luka can give you Luka can do it all, right? If the Dallas Mavericks win 50 games this year, Luka Doncic should be the MVP. There's no way you can go into the season without having a Luka Doncic MVP ticket because he profiles as the best player in the league when he is on his game. Jokic doesn't profile as the best player of the league. He is the best player of the league. Now, I would expect post-championship, his regular season minutes could dip a little bit. that team will be great or very good yet again. With that team right there, you got to understand the health of Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray is key. What we've always said about the Nuggets is if the three pieces with Jokic, MPJ, and Murray can all be healthy for a season, they can win it. They were healthy for a season, and they won it. Jokic, one of the better players in the league, obviously, and going to be an MVP conversation. But this short number right here, I'm not betting into that. Giannis at plus 550. Here's the deal. If the Bucks are as good as they say they can be, I can see Lillard stealing MVP consideration from Giannis. Giannis still a man on that team, but at that number right there, I'm not buying into Giannis. Joel Embiid at plus 650 is interesting, right? Because Nick Nurse is not like what was the Philadelphia coach when the process coach? Nick Nurse is not one of those guys. Nick Nurse is not Doc Rivers. Nick Nurse is not okay. Nick Nurse says that he expects Joel Embiid to play 70 games this year. If Joel Embiid plays 70 games this year, Joel Embiid is going to run away with the MVP award. At plus 650, I'd buy in right now. It could dip throughout the course of the season, but if Joel Embiid plays 70 games, like Nick Nurse says what he plans to do, Embiid will be the MVP, and Embiid will be in good shape going into the postseason. Embiid's next step after injuries, after load management, gets his MVP. His next step is to take the 76ers on a deep run. But he's got to be in good physical condition to do so. Embiid has to get and stay physically fit. I know it's knee ailments and stuff like that that goes along with Embiid, but the ability to run up and down the court for the entire season is a problem for Joel Embiid. It's the next step in his development. At plus 650, I'm buying in, though. Jason Tatum, plus 800. I feel like Tatum and Brown take from each other. I don't know how good this Boston team is going to be, but at 8-1 odds, I think I would try to have a little bit of Jason Tatum in my portfolio. Kevin Durant, 14-1. Kevin Durant is not going to win the MVP. Kevin Durant does not play enough games to be an MVP candidate. It won't be the case this year. Steph Curry at 15-1. Steph Curry is an MVP candidate every year. With him, is he going to play enough games, and will it matter? Will the minutes matter? Obviously, the Golden State Warriors don't care. Golden State's not trying to be the one seed in the West. Golden State wants to miss the play-in tournament and start their postseason run from there. It doesn't matter MVPs. They've got plenty already in championships. Here's an interesting one. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 16-1. If the Oklahoma City Thunder can work themselves into a top 3 or 4 team in the Western Conference, Gilgeous-Alexander will be a legit MVP candidate at 16-1. I would sprinkle that, and I would keep an eye on that all year because SGA is the real deal. He's a guy that can be an MVP type player. Anthony Edwards at 30-1 is also very interesting, but that Minnesota Timberwolves team is going to have to play better this year for Ant to take that next step. I'm not sure Minnesota is well coached. Could be some changes in that franchise, but Anthony Edwards is the top player in this league and definitely the top player on the Minnesota Timberwolves. That offense should run through Ant and not through Cat. And then a couple of long shots I would look at. Domantas Sabonis at 40-1 is interesting. I also would look at Zion Williamson. And I understand you're like snickering and laughing and Zion, whatever. The truth of the matter is when the son is on the court and healthy and playing, he's a top 5 player in this league. The explosion, the way he can dominate, score underneath the basket, grab rebounds, take over a game defensively. He can that all is still there. That's still in his bag when he's healthy. The problem is he's got to be healthy and he's got to kind of get some of his personal affairs in order. But so do all of us. Fantasy executive got personal affairs I need to get in order. But it's not like talked about on television. Like you don't see my text messages that Zion was getting from Shorty. I get those. You just don't see them. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not as famous as Zion Williamson. So you probably need to get your affairs in order too. So don't hold judgment on Zion Williamson. But what you can do, though, is sign up once again for a free 7-day trial of Fantasy Alarm's All-Pro subscription. Get all the Week 5 DFS content and picks for free. Go to fantasyalarm.com/win. It's time to start setting your lineups for the upcoming week. You know what I'm saying? And Fantasy Alarm will help you get that done. Now, divisional round matchups. Astros and Twins. Astros $1.60 favorite. Orioles and Rangers -110 both ways. Braves and Phillies. Braves $1.65 favorite. Dodgers and Diamondbacks. Dodgers -200 favorite in that one right there. Major League Baseball playoffs rocking and rolling. All right, coming up next on the network, Sportstopia, Fantasy Fire and Ice MLB edition. I'm your boy Corey Parson, the Fantasy Executive, wishing you a better morning.